Hey, Stephen, and everybody else listening. Welcome back to another episode of the Rose Quartz Divorce Podcast. My name is Diana D'Amato. I'm, among other things, a mom. I just had a mom situation kind of pop up out of nowhere, as they do. I'm an entrepreneur, a big thinker, a big life liver. I am a meditation teacher and a yoga teacher and a Pilates teacher. And I am most recently also a flexologist, a stretch expert. So that's something that's coming up for me. And I'm checking in right now as feeling I am spaghetti. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that for sure.
I am stretched thin. Yeah. So that's mentally. I mean, physically, I am gnocchi.
Hey everyone, I'm Steven. I am a liberator, an entrepreneur, a father, and a friend. And I'm checking in with a massive headache that came out of nowhere this morning. Yet I'm still in good spirits. So here I am, excited for another conversation with my teacher.
Man, that's headaches really are something I never had to suffer with most of my life. I have had maybe 5 headaches that hurt in my life, but they're really tough. Have you tried all the massage points, like the sides of the cheeks, like the lower sides of the mouth, pressing the muscles there, the top of the cheek, like where your cheeks go up when you smile? Like there's muscles right there, but you gotta just press into them, not rub them in circles. Yeah, press in here and then under the cheekbones. I'm so weird. Um, and then inside, so I'm going to point to it with my index finger. I'm going to do it with my thumb, but up and in this bone here, if you get your thumbs up and in there, do you feel those?
Do I feel it?
Yeah.
Feel what exactly?
Like, I feel like there's just a plexus of nerves there that you can feel when you press on them, more so than like, if you press like on the outsides of your cheeks, there's not like a whole bunch there, but like right inside the arc of this bone here, if you press inward and upward, there's those. And of course, the temples, if you want to go over to the temples. But I mean, this is not going to take your headache away. It's some sort of relief. Um, and it might be something, ooh, a little facelift. It might be something that you could do regularly to help, those kinds of pieces. But God, I mean, headaches are a real thing. Like, I, I, I would love to say like pressing on all these places is going to get rid of them. I think it might mitigate getting them. Um, but like, what do you do? I think you have to take medicine, right?
Well, I do not take medicine. And I don't get
Mm.
headaches. Uh, I I think so. This morning I just started rushing. I didn't meditate. I didn't eat. I just rushed. And I've been working long hours for the past month or two, so I am feeling exhausted and burn out a little bit.
Hmm.
The good news is that I'm going on vacation next week, so I'm excited.
Yay!
And,
Fantastic.
so I'm looking.
Everybody needs some time off. It's so hard to come by. I mean, geez, that's like a treasure to get. So you get a week off and you'll get to like get rid of these headaches. I know people say hydrate, people say take, this or that, whatever, but all of these things that happen in our physical bodies are symptomatic to me of something that's going on in our emotional bodies. So I'll just say for another example, I had a friend this week who had a sty. Do you know what a sty is? It's like a clogged pore in your eyelash area. Sometimes it's like a clogged tear duct. More often, it's a clogged eyelash hair
Mm.
duct, and it becomes inflamed and then sometimes infected. And it's really, really painful. But it's like in one of the pores, like right up against your eye. So it can cause some vision problems too, blurriness and things like that. It can be treated pretty easily, but with intense antibiotics, so you'd have to take some kind of medicine there. People put hot compresses on them. However, here is the thing. When you look up what causes, say, metaphysically, something like that, a sty in your eye, right? What you will find out is it's something about not being able to see things clearly, not wanting to look at what's actually going on, your third eye not being accessed, or looking at something with angry eyes. And so, the way I think is we have to treat these things with whatever, is given to us by the medical community and has been proven. But I think that is not as helpful alone as if you also think about like what internally, emotionally, metaphysically might be adding to this. Is this too weird of a conversation? Because I actually really believe in this. Yeah. So, yeah. So, and you can look up anything. You can look up like my right knee hurts. Pain in the right knee, means not wanting to step forward into certain kind of like masculine arenas in your life. So taking charge of things. It's not that you have to be, gender specific on anything, but things that would be related to the masculine, the left side, the feminine. I find these things really informative because I want to know. I want to know how I participate in creating my reality.
Yeah.
Right? Not just be given a pill and go on your way. There's a lesson in everything that our body shows us.
For sure.
So what do you think the headache is the lesson of? Oh,
Yeah, do not overdo it.
You don't want to say.
Well, yeah, I don't want to say that. I there's a tension that I live within where mindfulness calls me to be kind to myself, right? Get enough rest, eat well, do not overextend yourself as relates to working long hours. Be kind to yourself. Yet on the flip side, I easily get caught up in the spirit of capitalism, where you have to keep grinding and hustling and you're striving to get to the next level. And so so on one end I hear my teachers say, be kind to yourself, rest, honor the Sabbath. Whereas on the other end of the table, the other side of the table, you have these gurus, these people that we've deemed as successful people who brag about, or maybe not brag, but share stories of having worked long hours to get to their dream. And so I find myself in this seesaw where I'm like, okay, no, be kind to yourself, see and grind. No, but be kind to yourself, but you got to get to the next level, right? So it's that tension that I find myself in, and my body's responding to that. My body is telling me, no, Stephen, you have to take care of yourself, or you're not going to last very long.
So the tension of straddling these two worlds and mindsets is creating tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I can totally see that. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I think so many people can relate to that. I'm sure. I definitely can. I want to be a peaceful, mindful, sort of like fulfilled, like abundant person, like all that stuff. But I also have goals. I set goals for myself. My boss sets goals for me. I need to hit them. Like there's the reality of being in this plane that we are in on this,
For sure.
that we've been incarnated into. So there's a lot of like mumbo jumbo I could throw in there, but the reality is like we do have to make money. We do have to, get to a certain point so that we can support ourselves, our families, maybe, recover, like we've been talking about. Like building that runway again is hard, and you've got to grind a little bit, maybe a lot. And that brings me to our topic for this episode, is throughout all those processes that you're going through, and through the processes that a person dealing with a divorce, a breakup, or extreme grief trauma might be going through, is there a place at the end of the day where you can go and rest and feel safe?
Mm. And present tense, or am I speaking from my own experience?
I'm curious, yeah, about present tense. Sure, let's start with that. Yeah.
Yeah, my place is my safe haven. It's my cave. Right. I liken myself to Batman. I love being in my cave, and I will only come outside when it's time for me to save the day. Right. So my home, when I wake up in the mornings and I am in my right mind, I do a lap around my place, and I'm just often offering up gratitude for this space. I worked so hard for to have this space, and not only that, I worked so hard for this space to be peaceful. So even when I have guests that come over, they can feel the peace that is intentional, that was invested, that is orchestrated, that's planted in this home. And so presently, my safe space is my home. My home is my home. And I'm
What a
deeply,
blessing.
yeah, for sure.
That is a blessing. And that's, something that, um, and the scale of like, where do we begin in terms of being happy? That kind of thing, shelter and a safe place to land are at the basis of it all. Right.
Yeah,
It's really important that you feel like you have somewhere that you can come to for sanctuary.
for sure.
So what do we do when we don't have that? Has there been a time in your life where you did not have that?
Yes.
That you feel like talking about? I love how you're letting me get away with everything right now. I'm asking all the questions and not having to tell anything.
Don't worry. I'm not gonna let you off the hook.
I'm
I'm
just
gonna
playing Oprah right now.
I'm
Okay.
committed, trust me. Yeah, I mean, my marriage, uh, there were many days where I would just stay in my car a little bit longer than I should have because I wasn't ready to come home. And there were some days where I would come home and take care of the kids. They go to bed, and I would go to my car and sleep.
Stephen, I did that too. I can't believe you just said that.
Yeah,
I did not, at a certain point, feel safe in my house anymore, but my kid was there. So I
yeah,
couldn't go far,
right.
or it would have been considered abandonment, and I wouldn't have been able to be there to get her ready in the morning. Like,
Hmm.
I wanted to be there in
Yeah.
the morning. So I would park 2 blocks away and sleep in my car.
So tell me, what was that like for you?
Oh, man. I mean, the first answer is I cried a lot. I remember the first night I slept in the car, I took a selfie because I was crying so hard and I wanted to remember,
Mm.
which is weird, but I didn't want to forget and rewrite it or have someone gaslight me and be like, that didn't happen, or it wasn't that bad, or, like I took that picture and I have it, but I was really, really embarrassed. Um, but I was convicted. I had the conviction that I was going to stay close to my kid. I wasn't going to risk losing her and anyone saying I left or anything like that. But I did not feel safe in my own home. And I'm not saying that my ex did anything, but there were other parties adjacent to him that I had actually called the police on.
Wow.
So yeah, yeah. And that's that. I'm just telling my story. That's not anything like I'm not being, what do you call that? Like, I'm not trying to slander anyone or anything. That is like, you could look up the report. that there is a report on that. That's embarrassing too. I was, over 50 years old and was like, wait, are you trying to fight me? What's happening right now? Like, what has my life become? Like, can I ever like get out of this? One of the reasons I wanted to do this topic today is because during that time, I have a lot of friends. I'm very blessed. I have, good people in my life. But I only had one person that whole time say to me, and it was like this. She knew right off the bat, was like, "Are you safe?"
Yeah.
And no one's ever asked me that before.
Yeah. Same. To this day, no one has ever asked me, do I feel safe?
So I'll ask you now, because I feel like you feel safe in the home you've created.
For sure. Yeah.
So you are safe right now. But at that time, can you take yourself back to what did it feel like to do that, be in the house and then out of the house, in the car, back in the house? Did it feel safe at that time?
The home did not feel safe. Not because, my kid's mom was attacking me or anything like that. It was just that my personality, how I see the world, how I show up in the world wasn't welcome, right? And I'm the one that changed. I'm the one that evolved. She fell in love with the Texas version of me, the 22-year-old kid who thought he knew who he was, but really wasn't even scratching the surface of as it relates to his identity. And so as I was changing and evolving, there was a lot of resistance and pushback against that. And so it was hard for me to coexist in that space. I couldn't be that older version of me. I couldn't be that version of me that was trying to survive living in the South, right? So for me, living in the South, there is more of a conservative lens to things, as it pertains to theological, philosophical, social. I'm from New York City. I'm used to diversity. I'm used to different things, and having those conversations or exploring that which might be different. And there is space for diversity to coexist in the same space in many ways. However, that wasn't my reality. And while living in the South, also being while being married to a Southerner. No disrespect to my Southern folks.
It is different. Well, I'm a Southerner now. I just moved to East Virginia, so as I call it.
Good luck. I'm playing.
But it is different. And again, I think that's something you can just name it. It's no judgment. It's just there are different sort of social requirements in different
Yeah,
places that you live,
yeah,
right? So I think what I want to say now is, so there are different answers to that question, are you safe? Because it's like, are you physically safe? We need to ask that. But are you like personally, or is your identity safe? Is your self expression safe? Ooh, I wonder how many people in relationships feel safe in their full expression.
we should do a poll, an anonymous poll.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel safe in your full expression of self?
Yeah, like, can you be everything that you are? Can
Yeah,
you be weird? Can you be funny? Can you be smart? Can you be, stupid?
yeah, yeah,
All of it. Like, honestly,
yeah,
because those are the people. Can you be quiet? You know?
yeah.
Or do you feel like you have to perform all the time? There's
Mm.
So yeah, I think that would be a good poll if we could get people to chime in. Like, do you feel safe in your full expression
Yeah.
of all you are? Knowing, and see, that's the thing, knowing that even if you fuck up, that person or those people, they still got you.
Yep. Yep. My dating life has changed. I do not
Tell me more about
I
that. Yes.
I I do not do all the pretentious stuff of I I show up as myself, right? And on the first date, I'm telling that person my full story. I want that person to know where I've come from, who I am today, and where I'm, so that she could make her decision as to if she wants to continue on this journey with me or not. Here's why. For me, dating requires a lot of time, money, and energy. You know, dates cost like $200.
It's crazy. And like, you can't cheap out. You know what
Right.
I mean? You can't, not too many times anyway. You could do something cute, you know, like, oh, we're gonna
And
look at
you
the
know that
stars,
my
but
time is very limited with all that I'm
mm-hmm,
doing. And my energy as well is really devoted to the work that I'm doing, as well as raising kids and all the other things that I'm doing.
mm-hmm.
So dating is it's not a top priority for me in my life. But if I'm going to do it, I need the beautiful woman in front of me to know who I am on the first date, know where I've come from, and know where I'm going. And you let me know either in that moment or that the post date text message if you want to still get to know me or not. I don't want to waste any more time, money, and energy. And so what has happened with that approach, it's a great filter for me. And it really attracts the right people in my life. It attracts those who understand that this man is complex, and that's not good or bad. It's just I'm very nuanced, right? I have, I'm a father, then I'm a yogi, and then I am a real estate investor, then I'm an undergrad professor. I'm wearing all these multiple hats, right? And so someone who's going to want to be connected to me has to be flexible, has to be able to flow, adjust, has to be okay with me being on a recorded episode with my teacher one random evening, right? So,
We might talk about anything.
right. And
Yeah.
so it's working for me. And
Mm.
so I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have known who I was back then. And granted, have grace, Stephen. You were 22, 17 years old. You thought you knew who you were, where you was going. You got it wrong. But now, like, I'm pretty confident. I'm pretty secure within myself that how I show up in the world, folks have an option to accept it or to deny or reject it. And either way, I am fine. I am okay. It's not, I don't take it personal.
And the word that popped out there for me is secure. You are secure within yourself. Like you have an internal safety,
That part.
right?
That part.
Yeah.
An
And
internal security,
yeah.
an internal safety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My security, my safety, I thought I had a headache. My security, my safety is not predicated on someone else's acceptance. It's predicated on me. I have done the work. I have spent time and I continue to do the work. I continue to spend time with myself to learn who I am, to love who I am, to accept who I am.
Absolutely. And I know that was hard won. Like
Oh,
you did a lot of work to get to that place where you can sit here and say that and mean it and
for
be it.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
So
it
for
would be
the
wonderful if we could all know that much about ourselves, earlier on, and avoid missteps or relationships that maybe shouldn't have happened, but we just don't. Like we just learn through experience. Sometimes I think we learn what we don't want by having what we don't want and being like, I don't want that ever again, right? So there's, coming to all of that takes a certain amount of life living and maturity. And I would also say how blessed and fortunate and, sort of, what is the word I want to say? We are kind of very, oh, what is the word? Not lucky, but like to get to that place alive, you know, having gone through a lot of things, like it's very not entitled. What is that word I'm looking for? We are privileged.
okay.
We are privileged to have gotten to a place on our timeline where we know ourselves well enough to put it all out there and be okay no matter what happens back, because we know only the right things for us will vibrate back, will echo back to us. So the thing is, some people don't get that privilege. They don't get to that point because their external safety isn't there.
Yeah, it's at risk. It's compromised.
It is, and it's like, how do we stop this from happening? Like how many people have to be physically hurt before we have like I don't know, like what is it about us humans that we will sometimes fall in love with someone who's going to hurt us? Like not just emotionally, but physically. Like why does it happen that you might fall in love with someone who would choke you? And like I'm sorry. I know we're on a vibe right now, like, and I am with it. Like I am with celebrating all of that, like personal safety that comes from all. I'm with it. I'm with all of that. But I also am just like, my God, like, how could it possibly be that a woman could fall in love with a man who might like stab her, who
Yeah.
might take her life? What is the deal with that? And I heard this statistic this week that was mind-blowing, and I heard it on a murder podcast that I listened to. If someone tries to strangle you, to choke you, and they're trying to kill you, then you are 750 times more likely to actually be murdered by that person in the future. What other statistic have you ever heard that 750 times more has ever been revolved? But isn't that crazy? And it happens every day. And I think, there are women out there who are living in situations that are just not safe, right?
Yeah.
And so if you add those two things together, my external life is not safe, right? I am not physically safe from this person that is walking around in my house or
Yeah.
apartment or wherever. And I don't have that knowledge of self that creates the confidence to feel safe in the full expression of who I am. When those two things collide, yeah, we've got a person, usually a woman, usually, who has nowhere to turn and no way to do it anyway. I'm sorry. Like, I'm totally, but my point with bringing this up is, one, it's important. Like, I love talking about the joyful parts of life. I love talking about like the wins, all about a W. But I also, want us to face the fact that some people are not safe, and their friends and family, their people aren't asking. Only
Mhm.
one person asked me if I was safe. I'm lucky that one person has the background that she has, that she knows enough to ask that question. But
Sh-
honestly, I don't know if I would have, if somebody came to me the way I came to her, I'm not sure if I would have led with that. I might have at some point been like, do you need me to come and get you? But can we get it out there that we need to find out if people are safe? We need to ask that question.
Absolutely. You're spot on. I couldn't agree with you even more anymore. Absolutely. And I accept that exhortation. I accept that charge in my conversations with my friends, uh, particularly in the context of marriage and romantic relationships. Do you feel safe? And not be afraid to ask that question, right?
And lead with it even. We need to lead with it, get used to saying it,
Yeah,
you know?
that's good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Are you safe? So I just think I worry about people all the time. Like I worry about women who I was lucky I had a car that I could park 2 blocks away and go sleep in.
Yeah,
It is really, really difficult. It takes something like 7 to 9 attempts. Like, I'm going to leave and then they come back. I'm going to leave and then you come back. And it's like, not that you want to come back because things are so horrible and you want it to keep being horrible, but it's like your kids are there, or your social network is there. You know, you don't want to give up. So there's all these like stops and starts.
right,
And maybe there's nowhere else to go that's safe. Maybe you had somewhere to go for 2 nights, but you can't stay on your friend's couch forever.
for sure.
Um, and I think it's a thing that goes on since the beginning of time, I guess. I don't know that there's a solution that is overarching and that'll fix it all. I know there are people out there doing good work, and we'll list a lot of those things on our resources page on the Rose Quartz Divorce podcast, oh sorry, rosequartzdivorce.com website. Um, but it's what do we do? How do we stop these things from happening, Stephen? There's a whole world of true crime stories out there about people, usually men. I don't know why I feel so apologetic saying that. Like, I just don't. Why do I feel so weird saying that? Like, I don't want to. But it is usually men who, instead of getting a divorce, right, decide to take lethal action. I can't even say it, but I just don't know. I don't know where it ends or how it ends. Um, and it's scary as a woman because, again, my situation wasn't so much that my partner, if anything, I threw a wine glass at him once. I'll be honest. Okay. It was it was empty and it bounced off him and slid down his shirt and onto the carpet. So not to make a joke of it, but that is what happened. But again, it was like other people around him. I was really scared. I was really truly scared. So um, I imagine if I can't. I wish I could just get everybody out of the unsafe situations that they were in.
Yeah, it's very complicated, and there are so many layers to it. And I think it gives me even more affirmation as to why rose quartz matters so much, because we are becoming a safe haven for folks to at least say something. And it's our responsibility to find resources and help folks get the help that they need.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
reach out to us, to our listeners. Do you feel safe?
Yeah. And ask your friends, ask them. I think that's I don't know. I'm still talking about it. It's been like years, but it blew my mind that this person asked me that. And at the time I did I was okay, but it was just so impactful that somebody cared enough to
Yeah,
say, to say those words. So be that person for somebody.
sure.
Yeah. So, to take a hard right, I guess. I usually try to bring you something from pop culture or something kind of interest that we can talk about to round out our intense conversations. Right. So, and I've been having fun listening back on our past podcasts, if anyone hasn't gone back yet, and just listening to me kind of spring things on you, and have your pure in the moment reactions. Yeah. So I appreciate you letting me kind of do this to you all the time, Stephen. So let me find. Hold on. I'll edit this out. Let me find. I put my glasses on. I can't. I literally can't see anything. It's so pathetic. Okay, let me find one. Hold on. I know I have a recent one. Oh God, no, I don't. Here it is. Okay. So I have something kind of ripped from the headlines for you. Okay, for this week. So let's see. Let's see what Stephen thinks of this headline. Woman's husband vanished. Right? Imagine that, just vanished, and he blocked her number. Okay, now he's back after 6 months, and he's acting like nothing happened.
And what's the question?
What? Yeah, what do you think happened?
I've never heard of anything like that. And
Real headline.
I don't think anyone in my orbit would intentionally do something like that. So let me just ask maybe a couple of questions for clarification. So he knows that he just vanished. Is he claiming that he got kidnapped or anything like that?
He's just he's just coming back. No, he's not saying he got kidnapped, and he literally just came back, walked back in, and is trying to act like nothing happened. Like he just needed a little time without explaining it to anyone.
Is he aware that he's been gone for 6 months?
Yes.
Is he taking any drugs?
No. He's
These are
literally
so
just saying he needed time away for himself
without
with no
communication.
explanations. Yeah. I will tell you, I had a friend back in college who got married and seemed like everything was great. And this is a true story, was having dinner with her pretty new husband, under a year, and he stood up in the middle of dinner, put his fork and knife down, walked out the door, and never came back. Like I do know that sometimes people just trip.
I don't know that.
Really?
Foreign to me.
Yeah. I've, I know that happened. Yeah. There's another guy that was in the news who had a family, a wife, and I think 2 or 3 teenage kids. So older, like maybe 15 to 19 years old. He went out on his canoe one day, canoe. Later on, nobody can get a hold of him. The police find the canoe like flipped over, and like his shirt like ripped or something, and he was gone. And then they presumed that he drowned. They had a funeral, the whole thing, and like the cops were on it eventually, and they ended up finding him like in another country, like, and brought him back because they had pressed charges against him because they spent so much money searching for him. He like owed. People do this kind of stuff. People just trip.
I wonder if the pressure of being a family man gets to men to the point where they just have no choice but to run. even though, like, in our logical state right now, in our reasonable state, it makes sense. It would be easier, and it would be advised that you communicate what's going on with you.
But
But
what if
there's
they can't? What if they don't have the skills?
that part. There are a lot of men who just do not know how to do that. And for me, honestly, it took me a while for me to learn how to communicate. I did not know how to open up my mouth. In fact, I didn't feel safe to open up my mouth.
Oof. I feel that. I feel that for these situations, right? There was just something in them that couldn't do it, couldn't say anything. They didn't have anyone to go to. No one was asking, how do you feel?
And,
I
and
mean,
I'm not
maybe also they were just like total losers. I don't know.
be
No, but
could be.
I'm going to assume the best, right? But just to put it out there, there's a possibility there was just something wrong,
Yeah.
right? But I think your point is so like I felt it in my heart.
Sometimes away is your lifeline. And again, I'm not condoning it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not saying it is right.
You're saying you think they thought it was their lifeline.
Yeah.
They.
Before they might have snapped,
Mm-hmm.
might have
Mm-hmm.
caused more harm, or might have caused harm to themselves. Maybe that they just needed to run away for a second. Again,
Mm-hmm.
I am not condoning it.
Fight or flight. You're absolutely right. They don't want to fight. Maybe they're non-confrontational, don't have the skills to do it.
Yeah,
There's probably
we're not.
another word for that, and then they flight. They take flight.
We're taught to
Wow.
step it up, to be quiet, to be a man.
Right. Right. See, you always got something, a really interesting take on those kinds of things. And that's why I'm going to keep asking you questions because I love when you talk back.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much, Stephen. And thanks for everybody who's tuning in and sharing and telling other people to hop on and listen. I want to thank, as always, my friend Joshua Bright for the incredible music. I want to thank Stephen for doing so much work in the social media department and also just keeping me on track in the way that you do so kindly. And I want to thank my new friends that I work with. I got a new job recently, Stephen, so I have some new friends here in Alexandria. So my friends at Stretch Lab, I want to thank William. I want to thank Bobby and Kaya and Ao and Julian. It just made me feel so welcome. So I hope it's okay if I do
That's
that kind of personal shout out.
well. Till next time, teacher.
All right. Love you the most.
Love you too.
Peace.
For now.